What is proof of work? Whether you're new to cryptocurrency or you've been doing research for a while, you've most likely heard the debate between proof of work and its counterpart, proof of stake. If you're interested in learning more about proof of stake, check out our video that we just published over it. Now, some investors think proof of work is better, and while it does have features that aren't desirable, it was the very first consensus mechanism, and the big bad Bitcoin model still uses it. So keep watching to learn exactly what proof of work is and why it's still a leading model for the crypto community. So first, let's understand consensus mechanisms. Because to understand what proof of work is, first we need to know what a consensus model is and why it is needed. In a normal database system that holds information, for example a medical report cards, a single person or a computer is given the responsibility to manage the entire database. It is only their job to update, maintain, delete, and add new patient information to the database. In fact, nobody else has access to it. Technically, if they wanted to, they could delete your account, or they could say that you owe them $10,000 at their will. For blockchains, this is completely different. Being what is called a distributed ledger, this technology is what we call self-governing, which means there isn't one person who can control it or make changes. Instead, contributions come from all of the hundreds of thousands of users who participate in the network to make it function properly. If one person said that you owed them $10,000, they would be quickly outed as a fraud by the rest of the people on the network that are checking them. This is the first benefit of a consensus model. In an ever-changing system like the blockchain, you need a reliable, fair, real-time, efficient, and transparent mechanism that will ensure that transactions are executed and genuine, and that there's something called a consensus on the network. Now that was a lot of words, but if you're curious what consensus means, it means that everyone is on the same page. Essentially, let's say if Bob pays Alice $10, we want to make sure that everyone knows what actually happened, and also that Bob's account goes down $10 and Alice's goes up $10. Proof of work is one way to make sure that everyone has the same database, that they reach consensus. Now in the blockchain, instead of one person having a record of those medical records, everyone participating has it. They have their own logs of what is going on. This way the information is public and it can't be frauded or controlled by one authority. However, like I said earlier, you need a way to make sure everyone is on the same page. This distributed ledger is how we do that. Everyone has their own record. But how do we make sure everyone has the same record? Now that we have an idea of what a consensus mechanism is, let's dive into proof of work that solves the problem of everyone having the same record. If you search the word proof of work on Google or other search engines, you'd be told that proof of work is a consensus mechanism on the Bitcoin network. And yes, it is a consensus mechanism, but there's a lot more to it. In technical terms, proof of work is an algorithm or system that uses a significant amount of effort to deter or eliminate fake uses of computing power. Launched on the Bitcoin network in 2009, proof of work was designed to solve the problems of double spending, which, if unchecked, could be a major issue for crypto projects. You might be asking, what is double spending? Well, let's say that Bob has $10. Basically, we want to make sure that Bob doesn't pay Alice $10 and then go and pay Sally $10 as well, even when he only had $10 to start with. One of the jobs of proof of work is to ensure that this does not happen. Well, this is easier on a centralized system because of the central authority, or in other words, one person can check and make sure that it didn't happen just by looking at their records. It is much more difficult and harder and even trickier to solve this problem on the blockchain, where millions of people have their own record. Double spending on a network is bad because it makes duplicate coins, it reduces the value of the coin, and it basically makes the currency worthless and unpredictable. So let's go into how proof of work works. Bitcoin, like every other crypto project, is blockchain based. Now, being a decentralized ledger, and you can actually watch our video about decentralized finance if you're curious what some of these terms mean, this technology is tasked with the responsibility of storing information permanently and safely. And as the name implies, blockchain comprises blocks, which are then verified and then added to the network's chain. Each of the blocks contain information of the recent transactions verified. So basically what a block is it is literally just a list of transactions in a specific time period. For example, one block might have Bob pays Alice $10, Alice pays Sally $5, and Alice pays Bob $5. Now, in reality, a real block can contain all the way up to 100 transactions, but you get the idea. Now, this means you can go back and see every transaction on the blockchain where the very first dollar came from. And the important part is new blocks are directly tied to the previous block, which makes it a chain. Now, miners, which are just people using their computers to participate in the network to add new blocks, execute proof of work each time that a new block is added. And it takes roughly 10 minutes on average on the Bitcoin network for miners to find the winning proof of work to validate transactions. Now, you might be wondering, what is actually happening when a Bitcoin block gets mined or validated? Well, it is actually some really difficult guesswork. There are essentially a ton of computers around the world guessing randomly until it hits that block's password, and then it's verified. The passwords can't be predicted, but they can only be guessed. guessed. And you can check it very quickly though to make sure that it is the right password. Now this randomly guessing task is actually a hash function, and it's very important to proof of work, but it's also very technical and it's not completely needed here. So make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to see our future videos where we do plan to explain it after covering more basic topics. So by figuring out this really difficult password of a block, we can be sure that you spend a ton of time trying to guess and check it. And this is where proof of work comes in. You have proof that you spent a long time trying to find the password that works, and so you get a reward, which is a certain amount of Bitcoin. And then the transactions that are in that block are then validated, and the records of everyone on the network are updated to the new blocks. So let's move on to some of the features of the proof of work mechanism. Number one, it's secure. The singular purpose of integrating this system into crypto projects is to offer a reliable, safe, permanent, fair, and transparent system that will form a consensus based on network participants' contributions. So proof of work, like any mechanism consensus, is secure. Misbehavior from a miner on a proof of work mechanism may result in being cut off from attempting to add new blocks in the future. Also, carrying an attack on this system would take a ton of money and computing power. For example, to create fraudulent transactions, you would need to control 51% of the network's power, which is equal to hundreds of billions of dollars in hardware today. And because it's so expensive to make fake transactions, we can assume that it's safe and secure. Secondly is consensus, because miners broadcast the detail of a transaction when they add new blocks to the network. Now, once this broadcast is made, nodes leave what they're doing and they double check the transaction to ensure that the asset to be transferred has not been double spent. Remember, consensus means everyone has the same records. These miners have to compete with thousands of others to earn rewards in the form of Bitcoin. Now, this healthy competition gives birth to what is called a consensus mechanism, what we call proof of work. And this syncs all of these nodes to the same blockchain copy once a new block is added. Once a person solves that block's puzzle, they get a reward, and then they give the solution that they found to everyone else to add to their ledger so that they can start working on the next solution. Now, inherently flawed, proof of work has a ton of problems that have made it almost impossible for mass adoption. And I'm going to go over some of those problems now. Number one is impact on the environment. According to a 2019 BBC News article, proof of work is estimated to have used as much energy as all of Switzerland. And that's not all. As the network continues to grow and more people begin to jump on the Bitcoin frenzy, the energy usage increases. Now, the energy consumption level of this network makes it bad for the environment. However, there are also reports a large majority of miners are starting to use renewable energy, such as solar panels, to power their mining operations. Another problem of proof of work is its inability to scale. The crypto market is growing at an unprecedented rate, and it has opened up opportunities for us individuals to make real money either as traders or miners on these networks. And with a 24-hour trading volume of around $50 billion, the market is booming. But remember, one block is solved around every 10 minutes, and these blocks do have a transaction limit. So at peak times, the fee to send money over a proof of work blockchain can be very high, even more than whatever the amount of money you're trying to send. For example, you might try to send $10 to your friend, but you have to pay a $20 transaction fee, bringing the total to $30. And lastly, a problem of proof of work consensus is no penalties. Now, the proof of work consensus acts as a central authority or sole administrator on a blockchain network, and a traditional authority or administrator tasked with the managing of a database will have strict penalties that are given out to individuals with malicious intent. Unfortunately, this consensus mechanism does not have them. Aside from increasing the cost of attempting to add blocks to the chain or preventing them from attempting new blocks, miners with malicious intent are not really severely punished, and this gives them room for further misconduct. Proof of stake, however, does have a penalty for malicious attempts to create fake transactions. And again, if you're interested, you can check out that video in the link below. However, as we near the end of this video, let's go over some proof of work powered projects, because aside from being the sole mechanism on the Bitcoin and Ethereum networks, proof of work powers a couple of other networks as well, like Litecoin, Monero, Bitcoin Cash, Dcash, and Zcash. And many cryptocurrencies use proof of work because it does solve the consensus and double spending problem. So in conclusion, consensus mechanisms have proven to be quite helpful whenever it comes to maintaining the peace of crypto networks and eliminating double spending, which are huge problems. So in conclusion, proof of work has many benefits and many drawbacks, but it's working great right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, click the like button and leave a comment of any question that you might have or future video ideas for us to create in the future. Thanks for watching this video, and we hope to see you in the next one.